Allie, thank you so much. Of course, it's been a few days since the Supreme Court handed down arguably its biggest decision in more than 50 years, legalizing same-sex marriage in the entire United States.
Yeah, the court saying that bans on same-sex marriage, like the one Michigan voters passed back in 2004, are unconstitutional because of the Equal Protection Clause in the 14th Amendment. Now, that brought about some strong dissents, arguing that the court was undoing the will of the voters that put these bans in place. When Michigan voted 11 years ago, almost 59% of people said they wanted to ban same-sex marriage.
And now, just days after the court's ruling, we're getting a look at an exclusive Epic-MRA poll showing how people in our state feel about the issue today. According to the poll conducted over the weekend, 56% of likely voters here said they support the court's decision. 39% said they disapproved, and a mere 5% undecided or just refused to answer.
Of course, that seismic shift in opinion can be seen in polls across the country as well. The Washington Post reports that a recent Pew Research poll shows 57% of Americans support legal same-sex marriage.
All right, joining us now, our Channel 7 pollster, Bernie Porn. Any surprise by seeing how these numbers have shifted and shifted so dramatically in less than 10 years?
Well, of course, younger voters overwhelmingly were in favor of the Supreme Court decision. Voters who participate only in presidential elections, college-educated voters, those who are trained in job skills beyond high school or less educated are less supportive. And you look at some of the demographic breakouts by region. Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, and northern Michigan are stronger supporters than the overall statewide numbers, while central Michigan and other regions are less supportive.
Bernie, the biggest opposition usually comes from religious groups. How did they answer the question in this poll?
Well, that was a real surprise because we know that the Catholic Conference and the bishops have indicated their displeasure with the ruling, but 60% of Catholics in Michigan are supportive of the Supreme Court ruling.
Well, we're looking at that breakdown too, Bernie. On the screen it says 44% of Protestants in support as well.
Yes, and a narrow majority opposed among Protestants, and other religious groups, 54% support. Non-religious affiliations are supportive by 81%.
With numbers like this, Bernie, any thoughts about where this is going in the future? As you say, the younger voters are really the ones that seem to be driving the opinion up. Do you suppose this is going to continue to climb in approval?
Oh, I think there's no question about it. The older voters, 65 and older, they are least supportive of it by only a narrow plurality. And so as the population ages and obviously older voters die off and younger voters participate more in elections, you're going to see a continued growth in the support for same-sex marriage.
Have you ever seen public opinion change so dramatically over the course of a decade?
Not to this extent. I mean, that's a significant 14-point swing, 59% opposed to now 56% majority supportive. And you look at some of those demographic groups that have switched, obviously it's a sea change of opinion.
What would you suppose, Bernie, would have to happen for this to shift in another direction again? I mean, obviously we're on a roll right now heading in a direction. Do you see a seismic shift heading back again?
Not really. I don't know what would prompt such a change in opinion. Clearly, the opinion has changed, especially over the last couple of years. I mean, we've noticed it in our state polling, where support for same-sex marriage has climbed up just over the last couple of years, and this is reflective of the same kind of patterns that we're seeing in other states and in national polls.
All right, Bernie Porn, Channel 7 pollster, thanks so much for your insight today.
Very welcome.
We'll see you soon.
All right.